I believe that buying Jasmy, for me, at under the price of 1 cent is the equivalent of buying Bitcoin at the price of $880. And I'll explain why I think so. First of all, if we take a look back in history, if we take a look back in 2021, Bitcoin reached an all-time high price of around $68,000. And what that means right there is if anyone back then was able to just buy one Bitcoin for the price of $880, they would have managed to potentially do a 77x on their Bitcoin investment. And now when it comes to Jasmy, if Jasmy were to just reach the price of 50 cents, it would be a 77x from here. And I think that it can reach that. Bitcoin at one point did a 77x, and I think Jasmy will be no different during the next bull run. And I'll explain why I think so. First of all, Jasmy is focused on decentralizing data storage. Through decentralization, Jasmy is trying to make it harder for bad actors, so to speak, to access other people's information. And here's the thing, nowadays, most data storage is happening in a centralized way. And I think that right there could potentially be very dangerous because, for example, let's say a single institution holds everyone's data. Let's say that is the case, and let's say hypothetically speaking, this institution gets breached, then what happens? Then all the data gets exposed. Centralized data storage is like essentially having all your eggs in one basket. It's very dangerous in my opinion. I think what Jasmy is doing is extremely revolutionary. They are trying to change the way people view the data storage industry. I think in the future, decentralized data storage is the way to go. And when it comes to the data storage industry, I think in the future, it has the potential to be absolutely massive. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. As of right now, the data storage industry is currently valued at around $247 billion. And I think that right there is very impressive. However, what I think is even more impressive is the fact that in the past 5 years alone, the data storage industry has increased in size by over $107 billion. I mean, wow, the data storage industry, in my opinion, is growing at such a rapid pace. And it's not showing any signs of stopping either. In fact, by 2030, it is projected that the data storage industry is expected to be worth around $777 billion. And that right there is a very staggering amount because $777 billion is actually worth more than the current market cap of MasterCard, Samsung, and BMW combined. I mean, just imagine that. That is how much $777 billion is. And now I want to shift gears real quick and talk about the tokenomics when it comes to Jasmy. And more specifically, I want to talk about a potential token lock that might be happening in Q4 of this year. In Q4 of this year, Jasmy is planning to lock up 35 billion tokens, which by the way is 70% of the total supply of Jasmy. And I think if that were to happen, that would be so bullish for Jasmy, especially during the next bull run. And I think it's going to be very amazing for Jasmy holders moving forward. And the reason why I think so is because, for example, if we take a look back in history, Cardano at one point in 2021 had a massive bull run. It went from the price of around 2 cents all the way to the price of over $3. And when that was all happening, actually around 70% of the total circulating supply of Cardano was actually locked up in retail staking. And in my opinion, that did absolute wonders for Cardano that year because when you have around 70% locked up in retail staking and you have all that FOMO, you have all that buying pressure, especially back in 2021, that naturally, of course, caused the price of Cardano to just rocket all the way to a different dimension. And I think that right there is going to be no different when it comes to the case of Jasmy. Hopefully, if they do have this 70% token unlock, Jasmy during the next bull run, in my opinion, could very well experience a Cardano-like bull run. If that happens, the bull run for Jasmy is going to be absolutely ginormous. And keep in mind, Jasmy is highly regulated. In fact, Jasmy is the first ever legally compliant crypto in Japan. And that right there, I think truly speaks volumes as to just how amazing Jasmy is. Because in order to become legally compliant in Japan, a cryptocurrency has to go through extremely stringent regulations, and it's not easy to get. I think by Jasmy even being approved in the first place, it truly speaks volumes as to just how secure they are. And also on top of that, I believe that Jasmy has such an amazing team behind them. Because, for example, if you take a look at the president and current COO of Jasmy, they are former Sony executives, and they didn't just hold any random position in Sony. They held very high positions in Sony. So when it comes to the leadership of Jasmy, it's no joke. They are being run by professional people with extensive business experience. So overall, when I take a look at Jasmy's fundamentals, when I take a look at its use case, when I take a look at what industry it's focused on, when I take a look at the tokenomics, and last but not least, when I take a look at its leadership, I really do believe that Jasmy will have no issues doing a 77x in price during the next bull run. And by the way, this video is not an invitation to buy, sell, or trade Jasmy, but I really do believe in the future of Jasmy, and I think that during the next bull run, Jasmy is going to shock a lot of people.